All right, well, welcome everybody. So we're broadcasting live online. And listen, feel free to ask any questions possible. Today, I just like to thank you all for being here. My name is Fausto Puglisi, President Founder of Cybertrade University, and we're going to talk a little about how to use the Moomoo platform. I'm going to show you how to trade today's markets and exactly with the rate cut and with earnings announcements. I'm going to show you some of the greatest tools that we use as trading. All right. So let me just change the slide here. There we go. Really quick, I'm just not making any promises. It works for nobody, all right, for everybody. Listen, there is a high risk in trading. Just want to make everyone aware of it. Don't go out there and risk what you really can't afford, okay? This is what we're going to cover. We're going to cover how to follow the big money. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about myself in the next few moments. I've been doing this for 35 years. I'm one of the original day traders that started back in the early 90s. When I started, it was about 1,000 of us. Now there's over about 1 million around the world. I'm one of the godfathers that started trading. All these prop trading firms that you heard, I live in New York. I was one of the first ones that started it. I'm going to show you exactly what we use and how we utilize it. The technology I'm going to talk about today has been around for 50 years. Okay, so some of you are going to learn for the first time. One thing I was very impressed with the Moomoo platform, it does have it. And that's one thing that we're very, very selective who we train because a lot of platforms don't have it. But I do a lot of education for NASDAQ and some of the other brokerage firms, and Moomoo is one of them. And we're going to show you how to utilize it. What we're going to talk about something that's called the right of the chart. The right of the chart is where most people are focusing on the left, which is indicators, the past, the history. I'm going to show you where the institutions are. I'm going to teach you where the algorithms are, all the high frequency trades. So how do I know this? Because I was one of those guys, and I'm going to show you how we utilize it every day. I had some students here after we're done. If you happy, you want to talk to them. Some have been here, been my students for over 10, 15 years, and they'll tell you a little bit about some of the tools that we use. But we're going to talk about order flow. We're also going to talk about the best times to trade. I'm going to show you how to trade pre-market. I'm going to show you exactly what orders are out there, how to find these stocks. I'm also going to show you how to be an overall better trader. But most importantly, regarding all this really nice stuff, I'm also going to talk about money management. You know, everyone always wants to know, tell me what to buy and sell. That's how you make money in trading. The way you need to learn how to trade is you got to learn how to stop losing it, and you have to hit the button at the end of the day. You got to need to know when to get out of the position, and that's what I'm really going to cover. So, regarding about the live markets, obviously the market's closed right now, but I'm going to show you a couple of examples. I'm going to invite all of you at the end of the presentation to come into my trading room. I started probably the first online trading chat room in the industry. We have it down to a science. We have several instructors that work for us. I'm in there, and you're all going to be invited at the end of the day. You'll see exactly how we trade in pre-market. You'll see how we use the Moomoo platform. We'll show you how to find these stocks, what's moving. Everyone's always trying to find what's moving. We'll show you what's moving and how they're moving. And then most importantly, you get to listen from the other traders exactly how these things move on their own. Now, like I told you, I don't know if does anybody know what this means, the SOS bandits? Anybody know what that means? Nobody knows what that means? Okay, so SOS means small order execution system. So before the way things started, just to let you know history, that being one of the original day traders and how we evolved to what we're doing today is being a SOS trader. I was basically, how can I say it? Being a market maker, unless you had a seat on the exchange, there was only one way to trade, and that's being a NASDAQ trader. So the platforms that you use today that allow you to use what's called ECNs, they call electronic communication network. You know what ECNs are? Island, Archipelago, all the tools I'm going to show you in the next few moments, you actually have a seat on the exchange. I was actually one of the beta testers, and I helped develop those platforms. But before you had those tools, we used a different platform called SOS. So if you read any of the old books, you'll see they talk about the SOS bandits. That's what I was. All right. So that's basically calling the original day traders. And also, just let you know, I'm a 12-time champion. I beat every trading school in the industry that I competed against. I've been all over the world, from China to London to Europe to US, everywhere. the thing is, when you see these traders challenges, a lot of these people are not day traders. They're more like swing traders, options traders. But once you know how to day trade, you'll learn how to swing trade and invest. That's what's key. So at the end of the presentation, I'm going to give everybody a QR code. I'm going to give you all my book, How to Beat Market Makers at Own Game. It's been published by Wiley, which is one of the oldest schools in the industry. This is a color book. If you want, you can pay me $60 on Amazon. I give it to you for free. Okay, so it's a great book. It's a fast read. I did it on purpose. It's going to tell you the history of how trading works, how everything I talked about, and it's also going to show you. I mean, it's an older book, but the technology hasn't changed. Everything is pretty much the same, so you're all going to have access to it. Also, just to let you know, I've done so many presentations on NASDAQ. If you go to our website, you'll see some videos that I showed. Like if you go to our homepage or our website, I showed Moderna. Everybody know Moderna, stock Moderna? They're the ones that invented the COVID vaccine. I show you the video where it was like $27, and I showed you this thing's taking off and so on. I was actually at the NASDAQ website. NASDAQ, I did a big presentation. You'll see it, but I'm usually there. I'm a regular guest. NASDAQ wants you to learn how to trade the market. 90% of people don't know how to trade. They think it's all about indicators. They want you, I do presentations where I'm going to show you today that if you want to trade the market, you got to use their tools. And a lot of you just don't know it. And what's not great about the Moomoo platform, they have it. And a lot of people don't know about it. And I'm going to show you how that works. So with that said, I'm not here to put feathers in my cap. I'm here to teach you guys how to trade. And the goal is I'm going to show you, talk about like what's happening this week. We had rate cuts. We had earnings that came out. The question is, people ask me, how do you know which stock to trade? There was so many of them out there. How do you know it's going to continue to go higher? How do you know when to get out? I mean, what's everyone's biggest issue? You don't know where to get in. You don't know where to get out. You feel like you're chasing stocks. You're selling your winners too soon and you're holding your losers too long, right? And that's everyone's biggest issue. So that's basically having guaranteed for failure. You have to know where that resistance levels and where those support levels are. So what I'm going to show you is something called how to follow the big money. Now, just remember, everyone, what makes stocks go up and go down? Buyers and sellers. That's it. It's not a Fibonacci. It's not a MACD. It's not a moving average. It's buyers and sellers. If you just knew where the buyers and sellers are, that will give you a fighting chance to know where to get out. Just keep in mind, we are the ants on the floor. I tell everyone, you're just trying to get the crumbs. Being a market maker, market makers, brokerage firms trade hundreds of thousands, millions of shares. They don't care about you. They have orders to fill, and that's it. You'll know exactly where they are. I'm going to show you on the Moomoo platform, which is phenomenal. So we're going to talk about something called the big follow the big money. I'm going to tell you, just remember this. Something I'm going to talk about is called iceberg orders. Everybody know what an iceberg is? All right. Okay. So an iceberg, everybody know, I came up with this word watching the movie The Titanic. So everybody know the movie The Titanic, what happened to it? So what happened was the Titanic came and you see an iceberg and it's, they look what's on top. It's not what's on top. It's what's on the bottom. An iceberg is tremendous on the bottom. If you don't know what's on the bottom, you're going to crash and you're going to, obviously you saw what happened to Titanic. What's on the bottom, that's level 4. That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to see those orders. Everyone's always looking on top. Nobody knows what's on the bottom. So we're going to look for iceberg orders. So let's go and talk a little about something called TotalView. Now, just to raise a hand. Who here is using the TotalView on Moomoo? No one is using it. One person who works here. Well, I got my 2 employees too, my students. No one here is using it. Nobody? Okay. How about online? We got a bunch of people online saying it. All right. Listen, I'm just be very honest with you. What you're about to see right now, it's going to be very disturbing. Be honest with you. You're about to see, you're going to really realize one of the most important tools that are going to show you what makes these stocks go up and down. Now, I'm going to offer all of you at the end of the presentation, it's not going to cost you anything. I'm going to do a workshop on this live during the market hours. So we practice what we preach. So whatever I show you here, you're going to see it live. All right. This is actually called the NASDAQ TotalView. What you're seeing right here is you're seeing every single buyer. Let me go over here. And every single seller. You got two very important columns. These are the prices, and these are the amount of shares. So you're seeing exactly how many shares and how many buyers and how many shares are out there looking to be bought at a specific price. Once again, how do stocks go up? Buyers and sellers. What makes the support and resistance levels? Buyers and sellers. If you knew where, so as much as you see a support and resistance level, well, guess what? The support resistance level will not exist unless that buyer and seller is out there. Remember that. And that's what we're going to focus on. So here we have an example that I made. Everybody's looking for support, right? Listen, you have it backwards. It's not, you don't look for support, you look for the buyers. Support does not exist unless the buyers are out there. Always remember that. Most people are doing the opposite, and that's why people fail. So here you have a stock that's going down, right? Why did the stock stop at this price? Could anybody tell me? Could you tell me why that stock stopped right here?
Supply and demand.
Buyers, right? Does everybody agree?
Yeah.
How do you know that there was buyers out there? How do you really know that was a support level? What do you do?
Because of the volume.
Because of the volume? No.
Green box.
What?
Green box.
Well, is it the candlesticks?
Yeah.
No, you got it wrong. The reason why is because there's 82,000 shares that are going to be bought at that price. If you look right here, look over here. We're looking at Archipelago, which you all get. Do you think 200 shares are going to cause 300 shares are going to make a buyer? 500 shares, 1,000 shares? Look at all these buyers at every single price. Guess what? When you work your way down, 82,000. You see, a lot of people look at this, and you probably did see it, and you probably looked at it like, you know what? It's moving fast, a lot of numbers, right? 98% of this is worthless. You don't care about that. I don't care about this 300 share buyer or seller. I don't care about that 2,000 share. I care about the biggest iceberg order, and that's the 82,000. That's what makes this a support level. So when you see stock go from 62 down to 25, you're like, oh, why is it holding here? Why didn't it go to 24? Why did it stop at 25.40? Why did it stop specifically as number? Oh, because 25 is a whole number. No, has nothing to do with it. It has to do with this order out there is looking to buy it. That's why that stock went up. Did I lose anybody yet?
So is the big candle, is that the 82K?
This?
Yeah.
So what could have happened, and this is what we'll teach you during class, this person right here at 82 probably decided wasn't getting executed. So listen, if you wanted to buy something and nobody's selling it to you, how are you really going to buy that stock? What do you have to do?
Increase your credit limit.
You have to do what?
Pay more.
You got to pay more, right? Exactly. So right now you're on the bid. Why? Does everybody know the difference between a bid and offer? Bids are buyers, ask are sellers, right? So if you're on the bid, nobody said, because you say, hey, listen, I want to buy the stock. I'm on the bid, right? Nobody's selling it to you. There's only one place where you could buy it. And that's the sell side. The sellers are on the ask. So maybe this buyer says, you know what? Shit, let me just get the offer. And maybe he's the one that brought it up. And you'll see that because he'll pull this order and all of a sudden you'll see volume come off and that stock will go up. Does that make sense? Remember the two most important things about trading. How do stocks go up? How do they go up and down? Everyone? Buyers and sellers. Supply and demand. Always remember those two things. That's how things go up. Not a Fibonacci, not a MACD, not a moving average. It's buyers and sellers. Keep it simple. It's called the KISS method. Keep it super simple. Okay. So let's talk about a resistance level. Here's the stock. Doesn't matter what the stock is. They all trade exactly the same. Here you have the stock right here at 102, right? Stock goes from 102, it goes all the way to 112. You can see it goes 112, backs off 112, backs off 100. You've seen this chart many of times, thousands of times, and you're probably wondering, why is it stopping at 112? Wait a minute. I thought it was supposed to be 100. Where's 112 come from? That sounds like a weird number. Why not 115? Why not 120? Why 112? Why did the stock stop at 112? Does anybody know? Why would a stock stop at 112? Anybody want to take a guess?
It was too expensive.
Because it's expensive?
Oh, so
What? Sellers. Sellers. Do you see sellers on the chart? Do you see it? I don't see sellers on the chart. Let's look over here on TotalView. So here's sellers. Here's ARCA, which is an exchange. That's a New York Stock Exchange. You got 11 shares, 10 shares, 400, 150, 6 shares. You think 6 shares really can make a resistance level? I don't think so. Oh my God, 62,000 shares are going to be sold here at 112. Look at that. Boom. See how many? Look at all these orders out there. They're worthless. That's the order you want to follow. That's the big seller.
does that mean one seller?
Okay, so that's a great question. So that seller could be made up of, there's another field, which I didn't show you yet. That could be made up of, it's definitely not one person. It could be 50 people. It could be 1,000 people. That's what's called program trading. That's something we're going to teach you when you come to our trading floor next week. We'll show you how many orders those are, and because it's not one person, it's an aggregated. This number right now is aggregated. You can unaggregate it. So, we'll show you on the Moomoo system. I don't like doing that because then you wouldn't see this order because this order might be this long, and then you'll miss all the orders lower. So what I'm trying to do is I'm consolidating them so you can aggregate it so you can see it like that. Does that make sense? So that order could be maybe 1,000 people. I don't need to see 1,000 orders. I want to see it all in one order because then I want to see, because if I did it over here, this order might be like 300 deep. Does that make sense? Any questions? All right, let's look at another one. Now, let's look at TotalView and a little bit of action here. All right, so here we're looking at Revvion, okay? It's down 22% at the beginning of the year. The stock is going down, all right? So who wants to be my guinea pig? Anybody want to take a shot at this? I'm going to ask a dumb question. Stock's going down. You ever own a stock and things going down? You're like, oh my God, like, do I sell it now? What do I do? Right? What's going to prevent the stock from going lower? What do you think is what's going to prevent the stock going lower?
Resistance.
Buyers. Remember the two most important words that we talked about, buyers and sellers. Do you see buyers on this chart? There's no buyers in the chart. What's this? This is called the left of the chart. This is the past. We want to see the future, right? What's the future? The orders. So we have to find support because, listen, support could be $5. It could probably be at support levels. It could, how many times have you sold a stock and as soon as you sold it, the damn thing goes up? Or how many times as soon as you buy it, the damn thing goes down? The reason why you didn't see the orders out there. So here we're going right to the Moomoo platform, all right? And we're looking at the buy order, and I'm looking at all these orders. This is the NASDAQ, okay? 15, 30, 13, 12, 10. Look at that right there. 119,000 shares want to be bought right here at $15. So what do we do? What do you think is going to happen when we get to 15? Is it going to go? All right, I want everyone to raise a hand. Who thinks it's going to go lower? Raise your hand. You think it's going to go lower? Who thinks it's going to go up? Raise your hand. Everybody's going to, okay, let's see how that worked out. Oh, congratulations. You were wrong. Everyone's right.
That side is sale, right? That side is sale.
It's okay. You got it wrong. That's a good thing. You know why? Losing money, I tell everybody, is not a bad thing. As long as you know why you did it, you're not going to do it again, right?
So left side is buyer, right side is seller.
Right. Left is the buyer, right's the seller.
Yeah.
So we're looking at where the buys are, and the buys were on the left. remember, the stock's going down. What's going to prevent a stock from going lower? Buyers. You need buyers out there. That's where we saw the big buyer. And that's where that buyer is 119,000 shares. And that's why, like, you only had about a couple of minutes before the stock went up.
Sure.
So you ever see a stock like all of a sudden thing bounces? Like, I don't understand how did the thing go up on me. Why did it bounce? It bounced because we saw him out there. He was there, but boom! Now look at it. Went from 15 all the way up to 1660 in a matter of over the course of the day. What in a couple of hours? Let me tell you why people love day trading. If you bought 1,000 shares at 15 and you sold it at 16, how much money did you make? $1,000. $1,000 times 5 days a week is how much? 5,000. 5,000 times 52 weeks. You know what that comes out to? About $250,000 salary. This is why people love day trading. You didn't need to sell at 16, 18, or 20. You know what? If you made 50 cents on that, it's $100,000 salary. But what you have to understand is where the entries and exits. It's all about getting at that right price. Yeah.
Just a quick question. But when you see this 119.15 case too late.
Who says it's too late?
I mean, want to
He's
when you see the want to sell, and then you just make it worse.
Let me ask you a question. Do you ever use this? You ever use this part of the program?
No, I don't use it.
Okay.
I use different things.
Okay.
Mhm.
So listen, I'm a market maker. I was a trader on Wall. You see those guys running around the New York Stock Exchange? That was me. Okay. This is when you
I mean,
look.
just logically.
These are the big orders that are out there. When an institution called us up and say, "Hey, listen, I want you to buy 100,000 shares of this stock." I'm not sitting there playing games and like, well, I can't tell everybody because everyone's going to see me. They don't care. They want that order to be filled. That is called program trading. These are the algorithms. You ever heard of algorithms? High frequency trade. You ever heard of dark pools?
Yeah.
That's what that is right there.
So what you're saying is when you see this order, just go in.
I didn't get to the next slide, but in theory, yes, because that's telling you there's a big buyer out there at that specific price. And I'm just showing you, just more basic, a simple chart, when you see support and resistance levels and wonder, is the stock going to hold a support level? Well, the only way to confirm that if that support level that was in the past is in the future, and that's that future order out there. And that's why on the Moomoo platform, you get this TotalView platform with it. And like I told you, I'm going to invite all of you to come to see it live, next week when I get back in New York. You're all going to have access to it. I'll show you exactly how we utilize it. Hold on, I had a couple of people chat me online. Like over 70 people in there. So if anybody's chatting online, just let everybody know that we have staff online. They'll be able to answer that question for you. Okay. All right. So where can we find resistance levels on the stock? So you own a stock. Here's a stock that had a really nice move in NVIDIA. Okay. So NVIDIA, this is pre-market. Okay. And you see how NVIDIA basically, this is called the 5-minute shake that we talk about. This is where when market opens up, all these orders come out. It gets a little crazy. Stock bounced over here, went to 185, shot up to 189.50. Okay. So that's a pretty big move in the morning. So you ever own a stock, all of a sudden you own it. And okay, so my thing is, that's a big profit. I love NVIDIA. I own NVIDIA. I mean, been a big fan of it. But as a day trader, which leads into a swing trade, into an option trade, you gotta have a game plan, right? Your game plan is this. Where are the sellers? Remember, we're nobody. We're the ants on the floor. Okay. We're just, like you said, if you can make 100 grand or $250,000, you'd be happy. For these people, they can't make that. They're making hundreds of millions. They have orders to fill. You need to know where their orders are. So do you see orders out there looking to be sold on that chart? No. What is going to tell you where the orders are? Got to look at level 4. I call level 3. So here we're looking at the buyers and looking at sellers. By the way, just give you a little heads up. which some of you probably don't know this. Moomoo offers, you have access to a few exchanges, okay? You have Archipelago, which is the New York Stock Exchange. You have EDGX, which is the Chicago. You have the NASDAQ. NASDAQ probably controls about 50% of the volume of the world. So they're like the largest. So that's why I'm a big more fan of just watching the NASDAQ more than ARCA and the other ones. You still get good data, but NASDAQ has like most volume is traded on the NASDAQ market. So that's why you're seeing NASDAQ. So the stock is going up, right? What is going to prevent a stock from going higher? Sellers, right? Where are the sellers, on the left or on the right? The right. So I'm working my way down the right and we're looking here on the right-hand side, and I'm working down. The first thing we'll look at is where's the biggest seller? Right there, 40 million shares at 190. Without even looking at a chart, without even looking at an indicator, without even looking at the news, what do you think is going to happen when we get to 190?
Price. I don't know.
In theory, yes, but you know, the only way that stock is going to go up is two things need to happen. Number one, someone's going to buy 40 million shares at that price, or number two, all those hundreds of people need to cancel and say we won't want out. So those are the two things that have to happen. In theory, they're not all in cahoots with each other. Anyone ever heard of something called spoofing? You heard of spoofing? Okay, spoofing is illegal. Okay, big fine. If you put an order on Moomoo, could you cancel your order? Okay, you could change your mind legally, right? Yeah. So I mean, that could happen. So spoofing, just let everybody know. Everybody say, "Oh, how do we know those people ain't? How do we know those are fake orders?" Well, first of all, could you put an order on Moomoo? Say, "Hey, Moomoo, could you put a fake order so everyone sees this order? So so I could scare people." They won't let you. No, they're like, "You could, but you gotta put the money up." Those are real orders. Just want to clear, because people always ask me, how do we know that's real? If they're real, all right. You can't put an order on an exchange if they're not. So spoofing is illegal. Now, getting back to, can somebody cancel? Absolutely. But when you have so many orders out there, they're not all in cahoots with each other. So we'll show you next week in the live market hours. You'll see if those orders are getting executed or not. But in theory right now, without looking at a chart, 190 is a resistance levels. Look what happened here on the chart. So stock goes from $10 at 10 a.m. in the morning, shoots up from 185, goes all the way at 11 o'clock. Look at that. 11, 12, 1, 2. Never wanted to break 190. And sure enough, now you can see how it's trending down around 4 o'clock. It goes at 188. That order's been out there forever. And I will show you in the live market hours. I mean, I can't show you now because the market's closed, but I'll show you when you guys register. That guy's still out there. Actually, it's not even 190. It's about 1.5 million. Because when I aggregate ARCA and I aggregate EDGX, that's a bigger order than you even expect. Right now, this is just what I basically was able to capture on the Moomoo on this one. But it's actually more shares than that. Okay? Now, think about it. Do you want to go up against someone that's got 1.5 million shares out there? Probably not. Now, can we get past 190? Can we get past 190? We can? How could that happen?
There are more buyers willing to buy.
Exactly. Very good. Which I'm going to lead you to the next one. What happens when a stock breaks a support level? How do we break a support level? Well, that's what I'm going to show you now. We're looking at a stock right here, Apple. Okay. Here's all the buyers out here at 250, 256, 255. There's a 47,000 share buyer that's sitting here at 256.72. So, I mean, if you look from left to right, 200, 300, 1,000, 200, 300, 47,000. I mean, 99% of these orders are garbage. That's the only order you care about, right? So in theory, what's going to happen when we get to that number? What do you think is going to happen? What's going to happen?
It's going to go up.
It's going to go up, right? Very good. That seemed that difficult, right? Doesn't seem confusing. So here is Apple, right? 9 o'clock this morning. It hits that price of 257. goes back up to 256, trades down, hits 257, goes back up to 255, 257. Now, I'm not here to teach you one of my classes because we're going to get more detail. This is called what we call a Fausto play. I actually will teach you exactly what this means. It's called consolidation. But what's happening here is it hit this buyer, came up, hit the buyer again, never went to the previous high, hit the buyer again. You ever heard bull flags and bear flags? It's basically what kind it is, but some people even know what a bull flag and bear flag really means. Look what happened on this chart at 250, 256.70. It went from that number and it just dropped to 244. How is that even possible? Fausto just told me that when you see a buyer, it's supposed to stop. Well, listen, support levels get broken all the time. Can we break through this floor? Well, get a couple of sledgehammers and so whatever, we could break through it. Well, what happened here is that buyer got executed. Somebody sold to him. Now, here's the next thing you probably don't know, you probably don't use on a Moomoo platform. You guys know what time and sales are? You ever use time and sales? Who uses time and sales? Okay. You know what the definition of time and sales? Time is, it's a stamp that a transaction took place at that price. When you have the Moomoo platform, you'll see every execution, you will see that order get executed. That number will keep dropping. 47, 46, 30,000, 25,000, 10,000, 5,000. If you see that number getting executed, what does that tell you? That means that someone's selling to that buyer. Do you want to own a stock when you know the trend is going down, even though you see the buyers out there? Meanwhile, the guy's getting executed. That's what that big candlestick is. Okay. You see those candle bars and the volume bars? That's time and sales. These are the things I was called, when you read my book, and if you read any of the older books, you hear something that's called tape reading. Ever heard what's called tape reading? We know how to read the tape. I learned how to read the tape, so I teach my traders how to read the tape. So if you see those orders like, oh shit, this guy's getting executed. I mean, as much as we knew with support levels, boom, 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 the guy's getting done. What do you want to do? You want to hold the stock? Oh, I can't take a loss. I own it up here. I just bought it. You know what? Like it or not, you break through this floor, you know how far the next floor is? It's not 2 feet. We're probably what, about 30, 20 feet, 30 feet up? You're going to break your legs. You might even die if you fall off this floor. But you as a trader, you need to know that. You need to know that is the next support level 2 feet or is it 30 feet? And from what I see here, and don't see the next buyer out there, that's where you're going. So like it or not, how many of you actually did a trade and like, I wish I sold it before. I shouldn't have held it. I shouldn't have held it. You know, I can't sell it now. I don't want to take a big loss. Well, that's your problem. You should have known where the sellers are, where the buyer was. And guess what? Where do you think the stock is going to stop? What's going to prevent a stock from going lower? The next buyer. And you got to find where he is on the level 2, on the level 4. You got on TotalView. And you know what? If it was here, maybe at 256, but you might see the next buyer at 244, and we'll show you that. You know, they're there. Listen, it's called program trading. They have their orders out there. You need to have that game plan. Anybody own a house? A lot of us own a house. Who owns a house? Think about it. When you bought a house, and the first thing they ask you is put a bid in. Well, you're like, well, I put a bid. I don't want to put it too much. I don't put too less. You know, you don't want to pay too. Imagine there was a platform that would tell you what everybody wanted to pay. And you know exactly who the big one was who wanted to pay for it. I mean, you might not put the bid in. But then all of a sudden, like, wait a minute, I was going to put it in this high. Imagine you knew you could have put it this much lower and paid less. And you just basically paid more for it, not knowing. Well, guess what? There's a book for it. And that's what you're looking at. So there's you don't have this in the real estate, but you do have it in the stock market. By the way, if you trade options, anyone trade options? Those big orders, those are big option calls. That's what they are too. Some people don't know that. All right, there's one more thing I don't have time to show you because the market's closed, but I will show you this during the market hours. There's something called level 4. So there's something called a heat map. So here you will see the orders out there. You'll see the big buyers, like this 100,000 share buyer. And now what you'll see is you'll see how long he's been out there for. You'll see if he got executed. You'll see if these orders got canceled, whatever. So imagine you had something, if you like to read a chart, you say, well, I like the chart, but the numbers maybe move too fast. They do have something called a heat map, okay? And we'll show you this in our trading room. But that's basically, something that if you just don't understand how to follow the number, then this is going to be overkill for you. But I just wanted to show you there is something else out there on top of that. All right. So we're almost done here. So basically, my goal is stop reading the past and start reading the future. Start looking the way the orders are. Okay. How many indicators are out there? Does anybody know? How many? Thousands. And you know what? When that person tells you, I know that indicator, you'll get 10 other people tell you 10 different ways why they read it better than the other guy, right? There's only one way to read the market. I'm not telling you I read it better than others. This is how this technology has been out for 50 years. When I started 35 years ago, I'm like, how does anyone trade without this? Well, this is the great part about it. When I started and why people failed, when I got into the industry, I was 22 years old. I'm 54 now. And I had to pay $1,000 a month for this technology. So when I was sitting in this room like you guys were 35 years ago, and they said, okay, who wants to trade the market? And everybody's like, I do. Everybody's like, okay, who wants to pay $1,000 a month for this technology? And everybody's like, okay, maybe, you start seeing people walking out, this and that. Wait till you see what this thing cost you with Moomoo. It's going to blow your mind. Okay. But before we get there, let me tell you some of my favorite trades. Okay. So let's check this out. Does any of you, I know some of you got my registration. Do you guys follow me on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube? Any of them? So you do? Okay. So if you get a chance, I did a couple of, I don't like to do long videos. I like to do short ones. Some of them I did, like one of the big ones I did about silver breaking 100. I talked about the next biggest run is copper. Copper just ran like 3 days later. I did these videos before. I talked about how profit taking is going on. So these, when you're a student, you'll understand what these are, but I try to do some fast videos. I talked about, like I showed you the silver run, and I predicted it was going to break 100. I showed you in this video when it was like 68, 70. How did I know that? You saw the orders out there. There was an order out here on silver, which I never saw before. Usually the orders are like about 300, 500. Someone was trying to buy 200,000 shares of SLV, okay, the ETF. And he bidding it, he was bidding it, he was bidding it, bidding it. What? Look at this guy. I mean, how does no one know that? And sure enough, you saw we all was where silver ended. Watch videos. I'm not making these up. So that's how that works. So anyway, we did a partner with Moomoo. They came to me and I do education for a lot of brokerage firms, but we're very, very selective for the one purpose. A lot of these brokerage firms don't offer the tools that you have. Fidelity, I mean, you have BMO here. I mean, I've been coming to Canada for about 25 years now. I've been all over Canada. I train hundreds of thousands of people here in Canada. I've been all over from the West Coast, from Vancouver all the way to Montreal. I've been to Calgary. I've been to Kelowna. I never heard of Kelowna. What a cool place that place is. Ice wine in the area. I've been everywhere. Red Deer. Ever heard of Red Deer? I mean, I've been everywhere. I love the Canadians, but the problem with the Canadian market is you guys were very limited on who you could open accounts with. A lot of them don't give you the tools that you need. So it was very difficult to teach it. But when I saw Moomoo actually had the platform here, I'm like, you know what? It has everything that we need. So Moomoo is running an event, running something. I paid $1,000 a month for this technology. If you open an account with Moomoo for just $1, you'll get everything from them. Everything that they offer if you don't have an account already. And then what I'm going to do as a bonus, if you do open an account with them, and I'm going to show you, we already built custom layouts We already worked on the tabs. We built how you could actually see it. The problem with these brokerage firms, I'm not here to knock Moomoo at all. They like to show off everything. They like to tell you, and they're trying to appease everyone from swing traders, options traders, futures traders. So if you're more of a stock trader, more of a swing day trader, we designed it how traders trade on it, and we'll show you how we customize it. But for just $1, open up an account. You can open up an account with Moomoo, and we're going to give you we're going to do a workshop live in the market that we're going to give you, and we're going to give you a week access in the trading floor that we have. You'll see hundreds of traders in that room. I got over 1,000 traders. They're from all over the world. Give and take, there's about 200, 300 people in there live every day. Okay. So you'll see them. So basically you'll see what a pro setup looks like versus what a retail setup looks like, you know. Listen, you get what you pay for, you know. One problem with that we had with the with trading is that people thought you need a lot of money to trade, and that's one of the reasons. You don't really need a lot of money to trade the stock market. There's some stocks that are very inexpensive. We'll show you things that are moving. You don't have to trade Amazon. You don't have to trade Apple. There are stocks that every day. Okay, one of my students, Andrea, has been a student for mine for 13 years. He'll tell you every day. We probably have maybe 5, 10 stocks that go between probably, I don't know, between 30 and 400% a day that move. But you'll see them live. I'm not going to make this stuff up. The question is, you don't got to make 400%. You just got to make your day's pay and you're done. But you got to know where the orders are. If you don't know, seeing things like people always ask me, Tauso, tell me what you're buying. It doesn't matter what I buy. You got to know where to buy it. You don't want people to tell you what to buy and sell. You want someone to teach you how to buy and sell. As long as you believe that it works and you see it, that's all that really matters. So TotalView, like I said, you can get it for less than $1. You can also get it on the NASDAQ website. This is why I love that Moomoo too. I do a lot of education on NASDAQ. You could buy through NASDAQ. It's like $15 a month. But how much greater is it if you just pay $1? You know what I mean? Just have an account with them. So that's the really big difference that you're going to get with the platform. And we'll show you how to set it up and you could see it. Let me tell you, if you can't afford that, you can't afford to trade. I mean, let's be honest. You do it right or don't do it at all. Now, all you need to do, if you're watching online, I know we have a bunch of people online, just take your phone, scan that QR code. If anyone's here, we're going to leave this up and running for you. You guys scan it. So basically, scan this QR code, and you'll get registered. And just put your same things, put your name, email, and register. And then what we're going to do is, if you don't have an account with Moomoo, you could also open up an account with Moomoo now for $1. But with that, we're going to get you registered for free to come into the trading floor, and we're going to do a workshop for you live in the market. All right. And everything that we talk about, we're going to practice what we preach. So listen, they're doing it for 35 years, having a 5-star rating on Google, endorsed by all these brokerage firms, doesn't mean crap unless you could actually understand it and see it live. So that's where it goes. Now, what I like to do right now is, I think that pretty much does it. Yeah. Sure.
So it's level 2, but I think you were saying level 4 earlier. Like, what's the difference?
So that actually, TotalView is actually, I like to call it level 3. Level 2, the problem there's 4 levels. Level 1, 2, 3, and 4. Level 1 is you just see the bid and offer. That's what you get like when you look up Google or whatever, or you look at an order. That's like the first level of the best buyer and best seller on the stock. Level 2, which has been outdated since the 90s, is, and I'm talking about 1990s, you're seeing every order on an exchange. Like you're seeing, like you see how you see all those orders on NASDAQ? All those orders? You're only seeing the best buyer and best seller on NASDAQ. You're seeing the best buyer and best seller on ARCA. You're seeing the best buyer and best seller on, you're not seeing the depth of market. So you might only see 100 shares, but you're not going to see the 50, 100, 200,000. And that's where level 3 is. That's why I call it level 3. But NASDAQ always gets upset with me. He said, stop calling it level 3. It's not level 3. It's called NASDAQ TotalView. So, but level 2 has really been outdated. So it's more level 3. And level 4, I just call it where you just get to see more of a heat map.
Okay.
That's all right. Question?
Yeah. Um, I don't know if this is too much. I do think the TotalView is very interesting. It's approved, I mean, give us a lot of information. The thing is, for those bump down, they sometimes you see the market is the big volume and it's up a lot, and then suddenly it's going down. How do you tell the difference, real up or a bump down, or what they call it, that bouncing or something like that? How do you tell the difference?
Every stock is different. The market trades different. The thing is that there are certain times in the day that are very volatile. The first hour and the last hour. So I don't know if you're talking about like why you like kind of say like why does the market die? Like certain stocks like they lose their volatility.
No, what I'm saying is at the beginning you do see big volume and then the keeping big volume keep up. Say for example at the first 25 or 30 minutes of the market open, it just keep up.
Yes.
The volume is big too. And suddenly
It dies off.
yeah, like that dark function, what they call.
Well,
So
listen,
how do you
it-
tell sometimes it's real when it's had big volumes up, it's keep up, but sometimes it's totally different.
Well, first of all, and that's a great question. First of all, do you believe that stocks go up and down due to buyers and sellers?
I do, but I do believe there's some conspiracy theory out there.
Okay,
Some
so-
people play with the market.
So if you think there's a conspiracy, I'm going to tell you some of the best advice that my mentors told me: get out of this business. That's it. If you think there's someone cheating and lying, who wants to be in that business, right? Do you know what the cheating and lying is? You just don't know how to play the game. Listen, in anything, there's always cheaters and liars, right? If you go to a car dealer, they're trying to scam you and lie you. You just gotta know what they're doing.
I just want to find out.
You just gotta find right.
Yeah,
And you're finding out the truth.
that's true.
And you've never seen this before, am I right?
See what before.
You never seen these orders before?
I saw it before.
Did you ever use it before?
No, I don't use
Okay.
it.
So when you
So
come,
that's why before using it, I want to know the pitfall of it.
so they have some staff downstairs. I believe is that Amal, they're gonna be able to talk to you guys. So you go downstairs, they'll show you those orders out there. I'm gonna be here too. I'm gonna show you a little bit of what they are. But when you come into the market, it's so hard to kind of explain. As long as you listen, if you only believe 10% what I'm telling you, the 90% is going to make a lot more sense when you come there and watch it live in the market and see it every day. And the big thing is this. Learning how to do it yourself is one thing, but when you're part of a team, like the way I was taught how to trade is like, listen, you can't run a restaurant yourself, right? You can't be the chef, you can't be the waiter, you can't be the busboy, you can't be the maitre d'. You got to surround yourself with a good team of traders that believe that are doing exactly. We all think together, we look together. So when you start coming to the trading floor and you start seeing it live online, you see how the traders think for themselves, then you'll understand. As long as you know that these orders are out there and you want to know, is there a conspiracy going on? Listen, who cares? It's like politics. I hate bringing it in, but you think I care if you're on the left or on the right? You know what I mean? If that was the case, I wouldn't be here today. It's all about what's making the market move. And that's what you have to, because if you're on the wrong side, you're going to lose, you're going to get really hurt. And you don't want to be that person. Does anyone have the other question back there?
Lot of sellers at 6,900 and you see the order getting filled. But it was
Say again,
like-
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so how do you know if it's like a fake out? So I'm saying like ES has sellers at 6,900. You see go up to 6,903 and the order gets filled, but it goes to 6,903 and then gets rejected. So is there a way to,
Yes. So his question is like, if you see an order out there, how do you know if he's canceling or fake or whatever?
Yeah.
So that's where time and sales come in, which a lot of you don't use. On the platform, you'll see that those orders get executed. And there's two ways of reading that. You'll see the time and sales and you'll see the order. So two things could happen. They could cancel just like you could, or you'll see it get executed. And you'll see like if there's orders are going off on the ask, let's say there's a lot of transactions going off, you'll see a lot of green transactions on time and sales. If there's a buyers on the bid and you want to know, did the guy cancel or is he getting executed? You'll get a lot of reds on time and sales and you'll see it. And if you start seeing that some stock dropping and someone's getting executed, I think you want to get out. But the key thing is this, that is your only support level. This floor is the only thing that's holding you up. And if somebody's out there smashing this floor on you and you're seeing it like, okay, let me break in the floor. All right. So I'm going to eventually fall and I could sell now, or I could just fall and see what happens when I get to the next floor. But what we teach you at Cyber Trade University is like, if you break that floor, you got to know where the next buyer is, you know, and who's to say that that's going to be that's going to hold up too. You know what I mean? The only way to know that is you see the time and sales. And that is something a lot of people neglect and don't use that tool when it comes to trading. These are things that I was trained as a market maker. Everybody's like, did you see the orders get executed? I'm like, how did you? And if someone told me, where do I see that? They're like, what? You fired. Get out of here. I just told you where it is. I mean, you saw the guy get executed. You didn't see him. You didn't see the person buying all those shares. What were you thinking? You were holding that stock after the guy was getting out. These are things that, you know, that you have to understand when it comes to trading. And this is why, unfortunately, trading is a very big failure rate, because a lot of people just don't know how to trade the market. You know, the question in the back. No, it's not true. It's used for swing trading and investing, because those orders will show up. You'll see them. It's called program trading. What happens is those orders will get canceled sometimes at the end of the day, and then they'll show up in pre-market and then when the market opens up. So once the thing is, I try to tell everyone, if you understand how to day trade, you'll become a better swing trader. Those same orders will be out there. So even as an option trader, people like, why there's so many orders out there on an option call, an option? Those orders are out there on TotalView.
You would have to look at constantly.
Yeah, and yes.
Be in front of.
Well, they'll be out there. They'll see them out there, and that's why when you come to when you come to the trading floor, we show you online. You can see those orders out there, and you'll see downstairs with the Moomoo platform. They might still be out there. I mean, it's 7:00, but you know they might be out there. Any other questions?
Yeah, quick question. What's the difference between day trader and a swing trader?
Great question. His question is, what's the difference between a day trader and a swing trader? Day trading means you're in and out the same day. Swing trader is that you hold a position overnight. That's why they call it day trading. So, you know, I always had somebody, like, I've done so many presentations and people always up in the audience who's telling me, oh, you're going to lose all your money if you're day trading. I'm like, listen, tell me what you did. I can help you. Well, I had this position and, you know, and earnings came out and whatever. I'm like, so did you get in and out? Oh, I had it for about a week. I said, you weren't day trading, you were swing trading. So one thing you can't do is you can't mix. Swing trading is done into design. Day traders only focus on like just making the day's pay. You know, they just follow the action of the market. They see a thing that's moving and that's it. But sometimes you might be like, you know what? This stock looks like a good buy. Maybe I want to swing trade. And we do a lot of swing trading in the trading room. You know, sometimes we see a great deal. I'm like, you know what? This thing's got good momentum. It's got good pushing. I'm going to convert it to a swing trade. But every swing trade starts as a day trade. That's how it works. Any other questions?
Okay.
So,
Quick question.
yeah.
So you had like other people buying, and then you had the price and the quantity. How about people like when they select a market? Well, what happens?
Well,
You know, when you're buying and then you select market, like,
well, you have limit, you have market.
yeah.
Limit means this is what I want to pay. If I don't get it,
Yeah.
okay. So you could technically see that order out there. Market means you're just going out on the ask, and whatever's there, you're paying for it.
Okay, so when they place the order, like the price at that moment, right? That's the price and the order.
Yes. That means that you're just paying where the market price is, which is a great question. 50% of the people lose all their money by making that mistake you just made, because what happens is like one of the big things that we teach at Cybertrade University is called, it's called tradable and non-tradable. What that means is some of these stocks move so fast and so volatile, these spreads are pretty big. You see, sometimes when you do a trade, you think you're paying one price, but then you end up paying more because the price that you see doesn't mean the shares that you want are really out there. Let's say you want to buy 1,000, and somebody might be only going to sell 3, right? But you won't know that unless you saw the total view. And that's why sometimes you might run up the stock. So some stocks have very low volume, very dangerous. Some stocks that, some stocks that move very, very fast have very tight floats, small floats. And these are things that will show you. That's about half the failure rate. So before you consider going out market, you got to make sure, like one thing we teach is like, okay, well, are these orders actually out there? And then even when you sell it, you might sell it like, wait a minute, it said it was $10. Why did I get at $9.70? Well, there was only one share at $10. That's why by the time you execute all those people on the bid, to execute all your orders, that's where you got out. So that's another big problem when it comes to spreads. And that's about half the failure rate of the industry. That's like the number one thing that we teach when it comes to trading, and that's where most people lose money in day trade. Any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah, for the order book, so will it give you only the limit order or include all kinds of order like stop order, market order?
So limited market right now, that's the least of your problems, because when it comes to trading, first of all, you got to know why to buy a stock, which one to trade, which one's going to give you the least amount of risk with the high amount of reward. Once you figure that out, then you'll know the strategy. Should I do a limit order or should I do a market order? Sometimes you'll want to just do a market order because they'll pay see, man, when I started, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but we had fractions back then. Anybody know that? So yeah, there wasn't decimals. We had to pay like eighths and quarters and, like a spread to us on 1,000 shares to be like $125. On 1,000, you have a guarantee that was a quarter, $2.50. Today it's like a penny. It's like it's like a dollar. I had to pay 180 back then, 125. Once you understand the spreads, then you can, then you don't have to worry about, do I do a limit or market? That's a strategy you can worry about later. Right now, you need to know what really is the spread on that specific stock. But one thing we'll teach you on cyber trading, we'll show you how to put limit orders, how to listen, don't get cocky, just throw your orders, take your profit out there, use the Moomoo platform to do that. Any other questions? So anyway, just kind of show you, this is really the trading floor. You'll see exactly all the traders in the room. We post everything on, we'll give you a watch list. We'll show you what's moving in the morning. We're constantly hunting for stocks that are moving in the market. These are all my instructors. You have Josh and Rich that are in the trading room with me. And some of the bonus workshops that we're going to give you, this is everything you're going to get that we give with our traders that we're going to do with Moomoo. We're going to give you a live trading floor. We're going to give you recordings of our classes. We're going to give you exclusive workshops. And not only that, but one thing I'll do for everyone here, if you take the class seriously, you're in the trading room, I'll take you seriously. I'll talk to you on the phone, unless you're in the room. Once you're in the room, you see what's in there for a couple of days, then you're going to probably have better questions to ask. And once you understand it, and then I'll take the time to, and then I'll be able to answer it. Like right now, I know it's a little overwhelming, but when a pitch is worth 1,000 words. When you start seeing traders in the room, listen, I have an 8-year-old grandmother in there makes 6 figures. If you could do it, you could do it. When you start seeing these people trade and you start seeing what they're looking at, then you'll have a lot of questions. I'll be able to talk to you. Once again, so all you got to do is scan that QR code and we'll get you registered. And like I said, if you don't have the Moomoo platform, for $1, just open up an account. You're going to get that data anyway. Who here has a Moomoo account anyway? So some of you don't? Okay, no problem. That's great. Okay, so you don't have to worry about it. For the ones that do, listen, you don't have to open up now. You could still scan it and get into the room. But when you're ready, you know, you're going to see why, like, we preferably like the Moomoo platform because it has the tools that you need. A lot of these brokerage firms don't have them, you know? And let me just tell you something. Between you and I, a lot of them are trading against you. They want you to lose. You know why? When you lose, they play the other side. You don't want to do that, right? Now, the way Moomoo looks at it is, listen, they don't want to be that guy. They don't want to be that brokerage firm play the other side because you know what? If you survive, you'll be a client theirs forever. And you know what? If you make money, you're going to be a good referral to them, and you're going to recommend them. And that's why I feel that they're the right fit. All right. So that pretty much ends it. So, like I said, they have some staff downstairs. I'll show you what the platform looks like. They'll show you a little bit more who doesn't have an account, what that total view looks like. Just make sure you register, and I'll see you Monday morning in the trading room. All right. Thanks, everybody. I have to thank Google for having me here. And like I said, any questions, I'll stick around at the end. All right. Thanks all.